Is it live? Should be. Hey everyone, welcome to the Podetize weekly client coaching call. This is December 21st. It is the holidays are here. I don't know if any of you are like me, but I mean, I'm working this week, I'm working next week. The holidays fall on a weekend this time, each of them. And so I have so much going on for year end, not really taking an extended break, just the weekend on each end as usual. So but hopefully you all are having a great December, great end of your year. And actually I'm going to record this as a Feed Your Brand episode, so I got to remember and set that up. I was about to just jump into it. I have a topic that I think will be very helpful to many of you. It's a little bit technical, but not overly so. I think this is important for anybody that records their podcasts using Zoom or uses Zoom at all, even if you don't record your podcast that way, but you ever record meetings on Zoom. I got a couple things that I want to share about that, and I was driven to do this by a customer who had a problem last week with a Zoom recording. So I hope you find this helpful. Won't be too long, and then happy to open it up to any topics, questions, discussion anybody would like to have after that. If you're here live with us on Zoom, if you're not live on Zoom, then you would have to enter in any questions in the chat. All right. So here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to Feed Your Brand. I'm Tom Hazard, your host, and today I want to talk about a recording program that, in my experience with all the podcasters we work with at Podetize, about half of our podcasters are using Zoom to record, and I think that's because people are familiar with Zoom. It's really easy to work with. You just send your guest a link. It integrates well with a lot of systems like calendar programs to automatically create meeting links. There's a lot of good features. And in the last couple of years, since the beginning of the pandemic, when so many more people started using it, they've really improved their technical capabilities and have made it much higher quality recording, not only locally when you record to your local machine, but also now in the cloud. And that's a big distinction. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I want to share with you what the situation used to be a couple of years ago and what it is today. And there is a technological benefit for those of us using Zoom to record our podcasts. So a couple of years ago, in order to record split tracks, meaning an individual audio file for each person participating in your Zoom call, which, by the way, is really recommended to have to record, save, and provide to your audio editors to use, because they can do a better job editing your audio when each person is on a separate track. In order to do that, well, you had to record locally to your local computer, not in the Zoom cloud. And there was a checkbox in your settings of the local Zoom app on your computer you had to check so that it would record those split tracks. And the way it's described in Zoom is the checkbox says save a separate audio file for each participant, I believe is what it says, or something close to that. And when you do that and you recorded locally, after you end the Zoom call, you actually have to close the Zoom app. Even if you stopped recording at some point and you're still on the Zoom call, Zoom waits till after you end the Zoom call session to start processing the audio and video of that show. And you'll see a window pops up on your screen. There's a little blue bar that goes across in a timeline. And you can stop it if you don't want to save the recording for any reason, or maybe you need to shut your computer down and you don't have time to let it process because you're running out the door to go catch a plane, to go to the airport or something. And you don't have to do it right then. And I think a lot of people don't realize that if you don't allow that process to complete, you don't have recordings yet that you can use. And this is the main point that I want to share with you today. is about this process of allowing those recordings to save. And then what happens? What do you do if you can't find your recordings? If, you know, it's this strange file, you know, it looks like, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute, but I do want to follow through with what I was saying up front, is that now, a couple of years later, and I think it's been this way for the better part of the last year, Zoom cloud recording now also will save a separate audio file for each participant. Now, that didn't used to be the case. You couldn't do that not too long ago, but you can now. And we've started doing that actually at Politize for our own podcast episodes that we record using Zoom, is that we've started recording everything in the cloud. And there's another reason why. When you record in the cloud, you get multiple videos. So if you're using the video from your Zoom call for a video cast, or even just taking video clips, using some for, you know, highlights, and you're not really publishing the full length video, although I'm sure a lot of you listening to this are doing that, and that's great. When you record locally on your local computer, whatever you have your Zoom screen set to display is what will be recorded. And that's all you get, is one video recording. So if I have it set to speaker view and it switches automatically depending on who's speaking, then that's what I get. If I have it on gallery view, where I see everybody on the call in boxes, kind of old school, looking like, you know, the Brady Bunch, or, you know, something like that, then that's how the video records. And in fact, as the host of the meeting, if you switch from speaker view to gallery view and back randomly, or maybe not even randomly, just specifically at different times, that's how that video is going to record. And again, you get just the one video. So in the past, it used to be that cloud recording in Zoom was a little more limited, that you didn't get the split audio track recordings, and that recording locally gave you more recordings and better quality recordings. And now it's kind of flipped the other way a little bit, because now Zoom cloud recording will allow you have to set your meeting recording settings in the Zoom cloud recording settings, which would be logging into zoom.us in your browser to do that. But in your recording settings, you can set it to record that separate audio file for each participant. But the wonderful thing that they did at Zoom when you record in the cloud now, different from what it used to be, is that it will save you multiple video files at one time. It will save your speaker view. It will save your gallery view separately, two completely different videos. And if you ever share your screen, it will save another one of each of those types. It'll save a speaker view with screen shares that you did, and a gallery view with screen shares. So you get 4 actual videos. Now, if you're really into video editing, or you have a producer that does video editing for you, having all 4 of those videos is really useful. It makes it much easier to cut things out, to switch from one person's view to another, from gallery to speaker, or to go to, you know, a slide share view, a screen share view. There's a lot of things you can do creatively to make a better quality video, and you haven't had to do anything on your computer. I mean, you can even set up your podcast recording meeting to automatically do all that recording and save it to the cloud automatically. And we even have ours integrated with Dropbox, where at first we'll save it to the Zoom cloud, and Zoom cloud will only keep it for 7 days before it deletes it. But there's an integration with Zoom to Dropbox, and you can have it automatically upload all your recordings to a Dropbox folder in your Dropbox account. Now, occasionally there are glitches with that. I've had it happen where a recording is in the Zoom cloud, but fails to copy over to Dropbox. And you want to keep an eye on that. If that happens, you're going to need to download it and re-upload it to Zoom. A little bit of an inconvenience, but at least you still have the videos. But now, to come back to what is now, you know, sometimes problematic about recording locally in Zoom, which I had a customer we support with their production and Palitize about a week ago call me up on the phone in a panic. And he was like, Tom, I can't find my Zoom recording. I don't know where it is. Now, this is a very nice person we've supported for 4.5 or 5 years. So he is a very seasoned podcaster. He knows what he's doing. However, he's also technically, he gets overwhelmed with tech, computer tech, especially, and things like that. So he knows how to do what he knows how to do, what he's been doing for 4+ years of his podcast. And when something goes wrong, he sends up a flare and needs some support. So that's what he did. He went to find the recordings, and when you record locally to your computer, which again was the best way to do it up until sometime this year, and for 4 years he's been doing it, so he keeps doing it the same way, and that works for him. That's great. What Zoom does is will save, especially, I'm going to speak from the perspective of a Mac. I suspect it's the same on a Windows computer, but when your local recordings are saved to your computer, it saves to your documents folder and then a Zoom folder within that. And there is a folder for each meeting where each different Zoom session where you record it. And once you end the session, it will process. Remember, I talked about that blue bar that's going to go, from one side to the other. And as the progress bar, as it's processing. But if something on your computer interrupts that process, or you had to shut your computer down because you had to leave, and there may be other ways that it happens that's a glitch that's not intentional, those recordings won't be on your computer. But I have good news for those of you that have experienced this or may be worried this may happen to you. That recording is still saved, but there's some encoding and processing the Zoom application has to do. So if when you go into your Zoom folder on your computer, you're looking for your most recent recording, you go into the folder for that session, and there's always a date and a timestamp. So, hey, I had my meeting at this time of day on this day. Let's go find that folder. Inside of there, you'll find there's no video files, there's no audio files, but there's a bunch of funny looking Zoom file names. And within that file name, it says double click to convert. And so, our customer thought he'd lost his recordings. He didn't know where it was. All I did was get on Zoom with him, had him share his screen, navigated to the right folder, and then saw that was the case. And he double clicked on his files. That blue bar then goes and processes, and he ends up, it processes and saves all the files he needed. They were not lost. They just hadn't completed the process of converting from what the computer is saving all along as you're recording, as you're conducting your podcast. And that's not really usable in all the conventional kind of MP4 files and M4A or MP3 audio files you might use, or WAV files, things like that. So Zoom goes through the process of converting them all, and then saves them, and they're right there. And so he was very relieved. He just needed to be reminded what he has to do. So if you ever are missing a recording, now this is specific in Zoom, every different recording program works differently and saves their files differently. And I'm not here to talk about all of those. And I don't really have experience with every different recording software out there. I think I've used just about everything out there, whether it's Squadcast or Riverside or StreamYard, and or even more podcast recordings, using GarageBand or other kinds of programs that are just on your local machine. I am pretty recording platform agnostic, meaning all of these different programs do a really good job at recording at least audio, if not audio and video. They all do a pretty good job. Occasionally I've seen each one have a glitch and have a problem, but for the most part, they all do a good job. I really think everybody should use whatever program they're most comfortable with and is going to be easiest for them to use, and easy, more importantly, for your guests to use if you have a guest format podcast, or, occasionally or frequently have guests. Anything that gives them a simple link that they can get into, and boom, they're in the meeting, is ideal in the session. And then, of course, obviously, and this assumes remote recording and not recording in person. I mean, that should be obvious, I think, because we're talking about, Zoom primarily today. But the quality of your recording with any of these programs, I find, is really more a factor of how good is the microphone you have plugged into that computer, and how good is the webcam that you have plugged into your computer when you're recording video. Those make a whole lot of difference in the end result and the outcome you're going to have. They all do a good job recording. Some will do more compression than others. Others will do more raw audio and video recording, which editors would love. But eventually, here's the way I feel about this, and this is just Tom's personal opinion on the quality factor. You've got a quiet environment, good quality microphone, good webcam. Even if the software you're using is going to compress those things and your video might lose a little quality there, every different podcast host is going to compress your audio and convert it to MP3. So it's only going to have a possible quality height of a certain level. And with video, there's some similarity there. I mean, YouTube processes and compresses things. Now, YouTube will do, very high quality video for sure. But, embedding that on your website and, other things you might do, your viewers probably aren't going to notice as much, or think that looking at your video that, oh my gosh, that's not as good a quality as it could have been. It was recorded on Zoom and it was compressed in the cloud, especially if you're using a decent webcam and the color is good, the sharpness is good to begin with. It's when these things compound when you use often a built-in webcam to your computer that is not as high a quality as a external USB webcam, things like that. So anyway, that's just a little tip. Tom's thoughts on what should I use to record. There's not an absolute right or wrong answer to that. It's different for everybody. I'm really happy with Zoom. It works for pretty much everything I do. And I'm a host of multiple podcasts, and I've recorded, I don't know, well over 1,000 episodes in my podcasting tenure. And my co-host Tracy has recorded well over 2,500. And really, I think the quality of your show is more about the content you record, the message that you're bringing to the world, and a little bit less about the actual quality of that video. I do think you should have the highest quality audio you can possibly record and produce given your situation, but there's a very wide acceptable range, I believe, of audio. I mean, I'm someone that if I hear really bad quality audio, I can't listen to the podcast, and I won't. So I mean, I don't think, hopefully, anybody listening to this podcast is willing to produce lousy audio quality like that. And you certainly don't have to. It's just really not that difficult to record good quality audio these days. So again, the recording softwares you use is a choice, probably a personal one, more of a function of your specific needs and preferences, what's easy for you. Again, if it becomes difficult to do, you're not going to do it. So I would say use the best quality software you can for what you can afford or are willing to pay, and for the level of tech and setup that you are either capable or willing to deal with. So that really comes to pretty much the end of what I want to share with you today. The departure point of this again was, customer Podetize that is had trouble and thought they lost their Zoom recording, and fear not, it is almost always there. I don't think I've ever in my history of using Zoom over many years now had a Zoom recording really fail from a tech perspective. I have had one where I forgot to hit record. Now that's, user error, and that's tragic if when that happens. I think every podcaster does that once, but only once, because that's so painful. You're like, oh my gosh, I am never going to let that happen again. But from a tech perspective, it's pretty solid, and I'm a fan for what that's worth. All right. Well, I hope that was useful for all you listening. We'll be back next episode with another great topic. Until then, have a great one. This has been Tom on Feed Your Brand. Okay. So that's the end of that. I'm going to slide over. Oh, I guess I need to unplug in case anybody, we speak to anybody. Lucy, beat it. Tracy's going to jump in here next to me. We used to do this every episode, and we sort of have changed that. I'm going to have to move the microphone a little bit too. So now we're going to open it up to any questions. Cody, do we have, oh, hold on. I'm going to put it on the speaker so Tracy can hear.
Yeah, of course.
Cody, did we have any, oh no, whoops, I got to change it. I can't hear you yet.
Hey, Tracy.
I muted myself.
You
That was
muted, yep.
brilliant. Brilliant, Tom. Here, let me.
Hey, Tracy. Hey, Tom.
Hey, so Cody, did we have any comments on social? Or
No comments right now. I do see we have some eyes on the episodes though, or on the stream though. So it looks like we're reaching out to some people, but no comments so far.
This was a little more of a tech topic, although it's not a deep tech topic, but wanted to share it for what it's worth, because it was a real need, came in from a customer, and something I addressed last week, but then I realized, maybe we should talk about this because others may have, experienced similar things. And I think there's a big difference if you're going to cloud record versus local record. And personally, using Zoom, I think these days, as long as you have a paid Zoom account, which I think you need to use some of these features.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason not to cloud record these days. I think it's easier, safer. You get more video options. Now you have the same audio options that you only used to have when you record. We used to tell everybody, 2-3 years ago, every new podcaster who wanted to use Zoom were like, you must record locally, because we wouldn't get those separated audio tracks without it. But that's all changed.
Pain to download if you have to move them off, because you can't just download from the cloud. They don't automatically move when they have their automation. They don't move the audio files. So you have to go into the Zoom recordings before they expire, because they never give you enough cloud space. And you have to go and download those too before they're gone. So you have to actively go and do that. They don't auto download.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No,
they don't auto download.
About that. I want to go back, and I'm going to look at one right now in my Zoom.
Nope, they don't. They don't auto download. You have to, they're in this separated folder within Zoom, and you have to log into Zoom, get them out of and download them each individually. They won't even auto download together. It's really ridiculous. So I never record to the cloud anymore, because I just don't do it.
Well, that's terrible. I just recorded that whole episode and I didn't talk about that at all.
Okay.
Let me go. I want to
go to one that's recent.
I want to go to a very recent one. Yeah. Because I was not aware of.
Yeah. It's kind of it's one of these big problematic things with here. Go to that one. That's 1026 right there on your computer.
Audio only.
Audio only. Yep. Now go to.
So go
to Zoom.
You're just telling me the Zoom Dropbox integration does not copy over the separated audio tracks?
Even if you were to try to download them from cloud, watch. Go to Zoom now. So you can't see this, everybody, because he's not sharing a screen. But
I can in a minute.
Yeah.
If we want.
Okay, now you can go to anything in here. It doesn't matter.
I gotta
But
sign in. Hold on. No.
so go to your recordings
Yeah.
and then check out anything. You can check out like any one of your.
Hold on. I have to go to ones that have already happened.
Yep.
So where?
See, audio file of each participant is
Right.
separate there.
Yeah. it is.
So,
It's
yeah,
there. It's
and
in
you
the
have to
cloud.
download it. But see, watch what happens. If you click download, auto download the file, the separate audio file of each participant won't be included. You can download them in the list.
Holy mackerel! That is.
So share your
I'm-
screen so you can show
I
everybody
think
that.
I think I'm gonna have to record a little addendum to add to that
Hmm.
episode because this is really super critical stuff. All right. So here you go, folks. So this is my Zoom. This is a recent cloud recording, which has speaker view video.
It doesn't tend to have one because it just happens to be a one that doesn't have like 5 different video
Audio
options,
only.
but it's just
I
but you can
have,
see.
I do have that set to record in other types. We get the transcript, you get the audio only. Audio file for each participant is right here, which you can, oh, this guy was on the phone.
Yeah,
That's why there's no gallery view. I'm gonna go get another one, because let's do, here, I'll do this one. I want to make sure.
So you
Okay,
would
so
say-
here I want to show everybody all the different videos. Shared screen with speaker view, shared screen with gallery view, speaker view and gallery view, and just the shared screen separately.
So you
So
have like
get
all these
all
options.
these different videos. So this is the benefit and advantage of the Zoom cloud. And audio only, we have ours set that it's recording, and transcript's not the best transcript, but it's there and it's free. Audio file for each participant. What Tracy was demonstrating is when you click download, and I don't know if that pop-up is showing. Cody, can you see that?
Yeah,
pop-up?
it is showing up.
All
Yeah.
right. So you can download it, but it says the separate audio file of each participant won't be included. You can download them in the list, meaning you can download them separately. So I can.
You
I'm
have
really,
to go and
I'm
you
really
so then you have to go
disappointed.
and click each file and then download them and then add them to your folder. And so, and it doesn't also work in the automation, which when some people have set up an automation and we do in our system where we take from Zoom and we automatically transfer it to our Dropbox, but it doesn't take those 2 audio files. So I always had to go back and do it. So I just sick of it. So I just don't
So
do
you
it
record
anymore.
locally.
And I record locally because I just
Hmm.
got so tired of having to go in and do it. It's
Well,
just more work for me
Because,
than having it all local, reminding me, oh, I got to move all that. And I just
Well,
dropped the whole folder.
and you drop the whole folder up into Dropbox then. So
Yep.
it's one action. So now.
So it's still
It's
unfriendly.
still, there are still pros and cons is what that means to each situation.
Yeah.
There are advantages. I still like the cloud recording because I get those multiple videos,
Yeah.
but if I have to download the other ones separately, then that's a pain in the butt.
So here's the case though. This is why is because Tom never takes the videos from our folders and turns them into podcast episodes. If you're the person recording and your assistant's doing work or your co-host is doing the work, your team is doing the work, you're not doing the work, you don't really understand this till you get a feedback loop going between the whole team.
So question here. So thank you. Is it better to record on Zoom and not in the cloud? You mean locally versus the cloud? So again, there are pros and cons. Okay. I think
I
if
think
you are,
recording locally, and
Well-
I'm the one who does this the most.
well, okay, so that's your opinion.
Yep.
You think recording locally is better.
But in Anne's case, Anne has an assistant. So recording in the cloud makes more sense because your assistant, Alvin, can go and grab that and move it over.
And you don't
And
have
you don't
to
have to
upload it
upload
to
it.
the cloud to give him
Right.
access to
So
it.
this is the choice, right? Are you doing it yourself? Or see, when I do it, I give it more instructions to my team. So it's a whole lot easier for me to Dropbox the folder, make sure I've got everything I need, and then send the instructions to my team. I don't just let my team do it. Now, this coaching call is different. The coaching call records to the cloud automatically. The team goes, grabs the file, and they take care of it from there. So because they're taking the file, we don't worry about it.
And they can get the separate tracks when they have access to the cloud,
To the
No,
cloud,
you
yeah.
to the
can't.
Zoom,
No.
or you only give them access to Dropbox.
They don't have access to the Zoom that it
Only to the
saves in,
Dropbox.
so
So
only
you
to
would
the
have to do
Dropbox,
that.
so I have to still do it, or someone has to do it to make it happen.
So pros and cons. I mean, I'm still in favor of Zoom recording in the cloud when you're really going to use that video, because you get so many different video options. If you're really, video is a big part of what you're doing, then I think cloud recording is better.
And so, and my team and I don't do that because we have this communication between all of us about how we record. So when I record the Binge Factor, it's already set up, my office set up, everything is set up for them to do the vertical cut that they're going to use on social media. So they don't even need the other versions. And I record it in what is a speaker view, not a gallery view,
Yeah.
because that makes it easier for them to take what they need back and forth between the two and take the clips from the right place. So we've already like predetermined that because we've gone through this and we've been doing it for so long. And so it made it super easy for us. We only really have one video to play with. We don't overcomplicate it. We try to keep it simple. And so that's why I can record to the computer and not to my computer and not to the cloud, because I have that. The audio files, the 2-track recording, the separated audio files is extremely important to my team, because that audio leveling is a major importance to how we work.
Yeah.
So that's why that's more important to me. So that's why the recording on my computer is there. But it's totally a personal choice and a process choice into how you're working.
I think that is the point. And honestly, even if we were talking about other programs, other recording programs, they all have similar pros and cons. There's nothing that is really ideal, as much as there are a few that say they're specifically for podcasters and optimized for podcasting. For instance, I did a podcast interview yesterday with someone that uses Squadcast to record. Now, we could see each other in the video. He doesn't really use the video. That was fine. But I have to tell you, Squadcast from a user perspective, even for me, an experienced podcaster, it was like really involved to get into it. It wasn't so simple. And I think for a novice guest would be much more complicated.
Which is
So
why we don't
wasn't
recommend
really a
it.
big fan.
Right.
Yeah.
It's why we don't recommend it. But the other side of that is I just did one with Riverside, with Alex Sanfilippo, and Alex, that's the third recording of it we had, and we still had a glitch while we were on it. We had to record it 3 times because it crashed multiple times.
Riverside was crashing. And I have to tell you, I don't use Riverside all the time, but we do have some customers that use Riverside, and our production team has found problems with the recordings that have been saved from their sessions. And what was really surprising is their video communication, like we're doing right now through Zoom, seemed perfectly normal and fine to everyone on the call. There was no indication there was a problem, but the actual either recording, saving, or processing of those video and audios had technical problems on the back end, and they thought they had this wonderful episode and interview, and they actually came back to question us. What are you guys doing? This sounds terrible. It's like, it's not us. We did the best we could with it. It's the raw recording quality is not what we thought it was.
I actually did find, because I did another one with I think it was Karina or somebody, we had done one, and what ended up happening was that she ended up having to go in and resave the file, reprocess it, and then it was better. So it may have been something in sort of how it processed at the time. So that is something you could also check and try and re-download it again. I have had it happen, but very, very rarely, where a file from Zoom, when it auto transferred over to Dropbox, was messed up, but it actually was fine. And that's why we had this. It was still in the cloud and it was fine, but it was just the auto transfer that failed in a process to do it properly, and we were able to recapture it. So that's why this episode was so important for you to understand, because occasionally it happens. But I can say, look, I've done over 200 episodes this year. Well, probably even more, probably close to, in terms of interviews. I probably done about 300 interviews between all my shows and everything this year. And so, between all the shows and all the interviews and
once
all
you've
the
been
recordings.
guest on
Yeah,
too, yeah.
exactly. And so I don't think I've had more problems than with 2 of them total. And both of them happened in Riverside. So that's why I'm not a big fan of it. I don't want something that's inconsistent.
Sure.
Well, and obviously
So,
this is,
yeah.
you know, limited experience and anecdotal. We don't use it all the time, but
But
when you use it so little
when
and
you
you
use
have
it so
that
little, then
problem,
that's the problem. Then that's surprising to you. So we've got a couple of announcements before we head out today. And like, this is our last session for the year. So our last coaching session, we won't have one next week. All of you enjoy your week between Christmas and New Year's, and enjoy the holiday, and a little time off, and we'll hit back, first week of January with some sort of planning, because we always hit it hard in January for planning new podcasts, new things. So, hey, Cody, we're going to record a message. So if you could drop off the video for a moment, that would be great.
Yeah, I will drop off right now.
And
of
Lucy,
course,
don't bark.
The dog is barking.
So our team's asked us to record a quick little, a little blurb for, congratulations for something that we're going to send out to all of you next week.
So we're letting everyone see it. We're just going to do it live.
Yeah,
with them?
we're going to
All
do
right.
it live with them, but it's going to be in a compilation.
Okay.
So congratulations, all Podetize clients. We are so proud of you. There have been so many milestones this year. Tom, did you know that we had, I'm going to say, at least half a dozen clients who hit over 100 episodes this year?
Well, that's fantastic. I'm not shocked by that, but I'm thrilled to hear it.
And we've had multiples who've gone over 500
Wow.
in their lifetime.
Now
So-
that's a big deal. No
Right,
question.
absolutely. So Tom and I are super proud of all of you podcasters who have doubled down and really hit the ground running. For those of you that launched this year, we're super proud of you. And hey, check out this compilation of all congratulations and all the milestones from our Podetize clients. We're super proud of all of you. Okay, we'll
Cool.
let that go.
Oh, so that's just the intro lead into
Intro to lead into the
Very cool.
compilation. Yeah. And so we've got all kinds of shout outs to all the great podcasters that have hit various milestones along the way.
Wonderful.
So, okay. I also have another really great announcement for those of you who might be headed to CES or is on the fence and thinking about it. A good friend of ours, Rich Goldstein, who I've known quite some time, he's a fabulous IP attorney. He has secured an MGM Skyloft 6,000 square foot suite.
Wow.
For the entire event. So from the 5th through the 8th. And he has going to have a space in there where you can record a podcast. So if you want to really impress a guest and meet them at the MGM Skyloft and do a really nice recording in a great space, there's a good chance right now, we're working on it together, but there's a good chance that he's going to have some really cool equipment for you to test out and try out that's never been used before. So while you may probably have your own stuff with you, you also might want to check out and try what he's got in the space, because it's a really kind of cool little setup. So come and record a podcast in that space. So all you have to do to go to cesafterparty.com, and you can sign up to be invited to all the CES events that he's going to have in the space. So he's going to have happy hour every night, and on the 8th he's got a big party going on, and we're working on a huge invite list with some really cool players in the CES market, and founders, investors, all kinds of things. So it might be really worth checking out for you. And that's going to be on the 8th at the close of the event. But he's going to have a party every single night in the space. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. They're also looking for sponsors for it. So if you want to sponsor a party or you want to do something like that and you don't have a space and you're just thinking last minute that this would be really cool for me to have a party for my podcast or a party for my company, and you haven't secured a space that's this cool, there's co-sponsored opportunities. There's, you can contribute. So definitely reach out and make sure to mention that when you register on cesafterparty.com. Make sure you register a note, and Rich will reach right out to you. So it's really cool. I will be there. We've got a couple of other parties that some of the other clients and people that we're working with are coming into, and I've got some investor meetings while I'm there as well. And I'm going to record at least 3 podcasts while I'm there. So I've got 3 set up so far.
Well, sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I dropped this in the Facebook Brandcasters group. So if you really just want to like those same details and just want to reference to what that was, and there's a picture of the MGM Skyloft.
The suite.
Well, it's not the suite; it's the patio part, which
Oh.
is really kind of a great view. So you can check that out.
All right. Wonderful.
So yeah, that space is, I mean, 6,000 square feet. It's really
That's
big. So if you
huge.
wanted to have like a small party within a party, you could totally do that. Yeah. So there's all kinds of
Wow.
possibilities in a village. And Rich has done parties at so many other events, but this is and in past CESs. So this is kind of a, I don't know, tried and true. Like he's done a really great job of it. He knows what he is doing. So anyway,
All right.
that's it. So that's kind of fun.
That is fun. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. So
We were
anybody
just
who's
working on our content and our coaching calls for next year, planning content for the first couple of months. And we're definitely going to have a lot of January, more of those planning and conceptual kind of ideas coming in January for you, because that's a time when I know a lot of you rethink what's going on with your show and what you want to do next. And so we'll be hitting those kinds of topics, but make sure you're sending us topics, help@podetize.com. Send them through there. You can send it to sales@podetize.com, right to Cody. And Cody's happy to take those for us and put them into our schedule.
As always.
So come back on, Cody.
Will
Sorry.
do. No, it's okay. I just wanted to hide.
When do more people listen to podcasts? It's different for every topic area. That's the question that Amprat is asking in the chat. But we do find that specific types of podcasts get more listens at the holidays. People binge listen to podcasts at the holidays, and pretty much any podcast that has been on their list. So it doesn't matter whether it's an entertainment style podcast and or a business podcast, that's the time at which they download it. I personally listen and download over flights. So like I'll download a whole series, a whole entire show, and listen to it all like throughout that. So we do find at the holidays that there is a boost in listenership, but it's not to every show. And I just want to be really clear on that. You won't see that happen in every genre and every type of show. It just doesn't work like that. We tend to see people at the beginning of the year and in January download a lot of, I'm going to call them how-to shows. Shows where they're more edutaining, where I'm learning something, where I want a crash course in how to create a course, or a crash course in, how to invest in crypto. Like seeing things like that will happen where somebody's decided that that's something they want to tackle in the new year. And in January, we get a lot more downloads to those types of shows. It's a general time of year. We also see that boost on those types of shows in the summer when people find themselves with a little more free time. So those are the 2 times a year we see that, but it's very different. It's different for every show. Yeah. The interview style shows, the guest shows, those are generally good throughout the year. I have to say that I have had multiple requests from sponsors and or guest opportunities, high value guest opportunities for climate shows. And so, Anne, I think that might be something that you could tackle from a world perspective. You might want to think about doing a couple of episodes on climate, and there's some really great guests to be had out there who are very, very interested in doing that, and possibly sponsors in the future. So that might be something. So thank you, and happy holidays to you, Scott. I can see that you've posted that on Facebook. Thank you. And thank you, Anne, for the holiday message too. The team is eagerly looking for the holiday. We've had some fun this week. I thought I might let you know. If you're not on TikTok, if you are on TikTok and you haven't friended Podetize, you might just see me doing some very weird dance on Podetize, which is not our usual post, but I was challenged by our team to do a TikTok dance. And I might have won the contest, although I have to say Sixton's dance was just
Sixton's dance was
awesome. So our
incredible
creative
too.
director's dance was just awesome, but I think it's in his private TikTok and not on our Podetize TikTok. We might have to get permission to reshare that at some point. It was just so worth it. But our whole entire team decided to do a virtual party this year, and I love this idea, and maybe it's something you all would want to steal for your teams and your family. We did a virtual challenges. So we had challenges like what do these lyrics mean, and so they would challenge and they'd tag you and say, okay, Tracy, do a TikTok dance, and Tom, do a TikTok dance, and whoever. And so we did it with prizes too, because we wanted to reward our team. So there, if I did the dance, the person who challenged me and I would win the prize. Of course, I, don't need to win a prize, so I waived that. But we would win because they challenged me and I did it. So the first 2 people to accomplish anything or to chime in, or the first 5, they would win. And so that's so it kind of had this timeliness to it as well. So it was pretty fun. I really thought Whitney was going to beat us all because I didn't know how to use TikTok to record like that, because we upload only. So I didn't know how to do it live with TikTok. And so I had to wait till Linnea came home from school to help me. And so the girls are laughing their heads off because they're not only teaching me a dance that I didn't know how to do, but they're teaching me how to load that into TikTok.
Too funny.
I think she at some point just huffed and grabbed the phone and did it, and then was like, you hit publish because I'm not going to be responsible for that, Mom. Like, she made me hit post. So yeah, I thought for sure Cody or Whitney would win.
As soon as I read it, I had so many things going on, and I have a plan of setting up my camera in front of the Christmas tree and doing a little treat for you.
Okay.
So I'm not going to be
deadline for the US team.
No,
unlike
but
the I swear
I'm going to try to upload today.
Beat the heck out of us. They must have had 30 participants in the TikTok dance
Oh, yeah.
competition, and we got 2 of us so far. So we all need to step it up here.
A lot of great dances. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I told Melissa she's got to get her son to help her do it too.
Mhm.
So, anyway, this is the kind of fun we try to have with our team, because it can't be all heavy, intense work. But we, nobody wanted to like take time out from their family and have a holiday party. But this is kind of a fun little thing where you can spend 2 minutes doing something. We played a Never Have I Ever.
Yep.
And so that was kind of fun. And it was Never Have I Ever holiday edition. So it was like Never Have I Ever. And we had some people who'd never seen the snow. And I
Whoa.
didn't know that. And so they live in the Philippines and they've never seen the snow. And I said, my response back was, when they tagged me, was never have I ever gotten to visit the Philippines, which is on my to-do list in the next year. So I'd love to do that. So you can come up with some cool ideas like this and have a daily kind of trivia or chat. And we have quite a lot of December birthdays. So that was also one we had a little birthday shout out for December too. So some ideas for you and your teams.
Awesome. All right. Well, maybe we should wrap it up
Yeah.
for 2022 of these coaching calls.
Wow. Coming to an end of a year, and take some stock. Just think about the fact that you have been podcasting, for those of you who have launched, have been podcasting all year. Take some stock in how well did you do, and how did it feel, and think about that as you go into next year. And we're going to talk about some measurements in our next call, and both like tangible ones and the intangibles, because sometimes those intangibles are more powerful. And then keep in mind, no matter how few people you might have had as you launched your show, and maybe you only got 30 people to download and listen in the beginning, that is 30 people whose ears you had that week. Can you do that in one-on-one appointments? I don't think so, Cody, right?
No, we don't.
Yeah. So when we're thinking about, is it worth it? Thinking about if you have another opportunity to get that many people in a room at one time and get them to listen all the way through, right? Powerful.
Very powerful.
So that's why we don't ever look and worry about our coaching calls here. We don't worry about how many people are showing up or how many people are. We do see a lot of people listen on replay. So while we may not get a ton on Zoom right at the moment or a ton on Facebook, we do see the replay high, which means that they're listening. that they
Mhm.
are consuming it, that is helping people. And we do have our success team who constantly shares this out, and our help team constantly shares this out and said, and when somebody has a question, they'll be like, oh, there was a coaching call on that. And so they are very, very useful overall. And we don't worry about the numbers, not in this particular case, because helping one person, 5 people, so worth it. So that's why we're here for you each week. And we're going to continue to do that into 2023. No changes here. We'll see you in the new year on Wednesday at noon Pacific time, which is the 5th.
The fourth? I think it's the 4th.
Is it
no?
the 4th? It's the 4th?
The 4th. Yeah. Wednesday is the 4th. Yeah.
Wednesday's the 4th. The 4th of January. We'll see you back here.
Yep.
All righty. Till then, everyone, have a great holiday.
Happy
Happy New Year.
holidays. Happy New Year.